Hello everyone, Schoolbaby here. Welcome to our channel. I just want to say thank you to all who subscribe and interact. To those of you who know Schoolboy, or Dad, as I like to call him, he's been involved with the dogs for over 40 years. A lot of you know his story, and so there's some of you who don't. And to those who don't, we're going to do this interview here. We're going to ask some questions that have been previously asked and some that haven't. So get ready. If you have any questions you want answered, let us know. Contact Richard Garcia Schoolboy on YouTube, Facebook, Insta. We've got all kinds going. Cash App at $uppercase S Schoolboy 2023, or of course Super Thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for this is our first interview, so you get to see the first run. I got some stuff up here. That's gifts that were brought to me. This is a Best in Show trophy for Percy back in the day. All history. But I appreciate everybody's support, and thanks for your comments. We're gonna keep it going, so let's get on with the interview.
I like to call this one From the Mind of a Dog Man. Okay, so we're gonna start. How did you start?
How did I start? In the dogs?
Yes, of course, in the dogs. In the game.
Yeah, right, gotcha. If you, if you think about it, most cultures have dogs, right?
Of course.
And
hunting, everything.
And everybody, not everybody, but most everybody, their dogs fight.
Oh yeah.
Like when we were kids, we had German Shepherds. You had neighbors had different dogs, so you have dogs all over the neighborhood. These dogs would fight to dominate the neighborhood, or who's king of the block, or anything like that. And so that's in the nature of cultures and kids growing up. The fighting dog goes back thousands of years, and I'm sure, throughout history, other people have had, dogs that fought.
Yeah.
And then part of the Mexican culture is cockfighting, with roosters. I enjoy horse racing. I'm a big boxing fan. I stole Bobby Chacon, who was a featherweight and lightweight champion.
We watched boxing our entire lives, everybody. Yeah. From back when I was the remote on the TV, we would all watch boxing together.
Yeah. So Bobby Chacon, his name was, his nickname or fighting name was Schoolboy.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorite fighters. He's the one who first introduced me into boxing. I met him back in the day, and it was through full contact champion named Benny Urquidez. Yeah. Benny the Jet Urquidez. They were friends. Bobby Chacon taught. I took martial arts and a little bit of boxing when I was young, and it was through reading about and seeing, Benny the Jet Urquidez, his fights on TV and all that. Through him is where I got to know Bobby Chacon. Not know him personally, I only met him one time, but that was my introduction to boxing. So the point of all that is I liked fighting. I liked competition, sports, all that stuff. So, I don't even remember where, but you hear about the pit bull, his fighting dog, this and that. So I started researching as best I could, going to the library.
Sorry, do you remember what age you were?
Yeah, I was about 17.
17, huh?
Yeah. Me and your mom were young,
Yeah.
And so I started researching, getting books, got the Richard Stratton books like everybody else does, even books on Staffordshire Terriers. And then from there, I just started acquiring dogs. You buy registered dogs and dogs out of the paper, and you get pit bull here and there. So when I turned 18, that's when I really got into it, And my whole sole purpose originally was, I want to compete.
Yeah.
I love horse racing. That's too expensive. Chickens are all right, but not my thing.
Yeah.
We had dogs all our life. Your tata had working cattle dogs.
Yes, of course.
So, it just progressed from there.
Every dog has their purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Every dog has their purpose.
Yeah. So it just started that way, and then I started getting dogs, and cheap money fights, and then you get the Sporting Dog Journal, Pit Dog Report, and all them, and you see that people have contracted matches. I met local dog men, John Craig and Cat and Company, and just went from there. But that's basically how it started.
Did you have a mentor? We'll call it mentor.
Yeah.
Starting out,
quote,
or
unquote,
even
mentor.
quote unquote mentor.
Not really. Most of the stuff I learned on my own. But the one person,
trial and error.
Yeah, like that.
Trial and error.
Especially the conditioning and the feed. Dogmen back then were reluctant to give information. They don't want to share their secrets, quote unquote secrets.
I've noticed that you're not like that.
I'm not like that.
Yeah.
That's the reason I'm not like that.
Not just because you're my dad. I
Right.
personally watch and see and oversee a lot of things, and I've noticed that you don't follow in your mentor's footsteps in that way where you have to, where you are able to give information freely and openly, and hoping that the breed is gets better, turns better. They use something that you have, something that they have.
People, I feel people should know the history, the knowledge, all that. And that's one of the reasons why I do it. I didn't get help.
Yeah.
And I know what it feels like not to get help when you want help. Or getting wrong information. They'll give you wrong information to screw you up. Especially if you're a competitor.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason that I do it. I didn't get help. But if there was one person, I would say that, and you get bits and pieces from here and there, but a mentor is somebody who actually sits down with you or is there with you and goes along with you and teaches you step by step all aspects of it and all that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I didn't really have a mentor, but the one person I did have that always gave me information, was always truthful, was Ronald Boyles.
Ronald Boyles, okay.
He lived in Florida, we live in California, so it was just on the phone talking to him or writing letters, sending pictures and all that stuff. He would do that, and he would give me whatever information he could.
Yeah. Whether
it was conditioning, feed, how to breed dogs, mostly how to breed dogs. And he's where I got the idea of you don't need a big yard of dogs to have a good family of dogs. The smaller the yard, the better in terms of you get to spend time with the dogs, you get to take care of them proper maintenance and feed and all that stuff. Because, there's people that have yards in the past that, 200 or 300 dogs, maybe more. 50 dogs, 100 dogs.
I could see how that wouldn't be for the best.
No, not for the dog.
Not for the dog,
You have a bunch of dogs and you can produce more dogs and you can have more selection.
Yeah.
But as far as personal care, one-on-one contact with the dog, it's almost impossible to do that.
Because growing up, I also remember every game dog that I see now, I mean, that was our family.
Yeah.
Big Red was literally our family.
Right.
So
and you guys play with them, you spend time with them, you guys took them out, walk them, play with them.
all the time.
All that's imperative to having good dogs.
Yeah.
To be socialized with people, family. You guys and your mom helped, did a lot of stuff when I was a conditioning dog or I'm at work or whatever. Going to shows, and that's I stress that a lot, that they need personal care.
Yeah. Who did you use as a role model? We'll also do quote unquote role model. Who did you use as a role model?
I would have to say Earl Tudor. He was an old time dog man from the early 1900s.
Oh.
Up until he was still breeding and keeping dogs up into the 60s and 70s. I forget when he died.
Yeah.
Probably in the 70s. But a long history with the dogs, and the reason he was a role model was because he did everything.
Yeah.
He bred his own dogs, fed them, put them in keep, conditioned them, matched his own dogs, did all kinds of, he even sold dogs.
Yeah.
And he was one of the most successful dog men in history. The most, as far as being an all-around dog, I would say was him. And during that time, dogfighting wasn't a felony. You could pretty much do whatever you wanted with the dog. The laws were real lax,
Yes.
He competed everywhere and considered the top guy by a lot of people, him and George Sadler, as far as conditioners. But Tudor bred a lot more dogs than Sadler did, There was one year, you know, there's a lot of stories about them. The UKC, United Kennel Club, used to register pit bulls. That was the first registry to actually register American Pit Bull Terrier.
Okay.
Right. That's what they called it. That's where that name comes from.
Yeah.
Right. The UKC calls them American Staffordshire Terrier. But anyways, the UKC back then had a dogfighting rules.
Mm-hmm.
So they had dogfighting rules, had referees and rules and all that stuff, right? Just like we did later on. And to become a champion, you needed to win 3 fights. But as far as UKC was concerned, to call your dog a champion, it had to be under UKC rules. Meaning you had to follow their rules. You had to have a sanctioned UKC referee. And the point of all this is during 1 year, Tudor won 25 UKC sanctioned fights.
Oh, okay.
Right. And he had a lot of famous dogs, multiple winner dogs. Blackjack Jr. won 9. His sire supposedly won 16. He was involved with a lot of famous dogs, Tudor's Goldie, and of course Daibo and Spike and Jeff.
A legend in his own.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's who kind of, you know, I aspire to be some. I never got to that point because we didn't have that many dogs and it wasn't as open as it was back then. But I tried my best to be on that level.
Okay, so tell me something about yourself that nobody knows.
Somebody about myself that nobody knows. I looked over those questions. I had that nobody knows. I wonder if I wrote it down.
We can go back to it if you want.
I know. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
let's
we can
go back to it.
Don't worry, we'll reach back around.
Yeah,
We gotta.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't say it like that. Stop.
Tell me about your most difficult match, win and lose. Win and lose.
Right. The most difficult win would probably be Clayton Blood into a dog called Bug-Eye. Bug-Eye was a heavy bully son-bred dog, little Mike's dog. He came from all the old Stomper blood and, you know, Bobby Hall stuff. He might have had some Champion Argon in him, you know. But he was a hard-biting dog. And
who was the person you went up against?
It was Little Mike and them.
Okay.
Little Mike and Ray. I think Ray Handel. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But they were like buddies with Pitt Town. I forgot the moniker they used, but good. Little Mike and his family, good people, man. His dad, mom, real good people. And Bug-Eye was a rough son of a gun, man. He could bite.
Yeah.
Right? And I was using Clayton Blood, who was a brother to Mr. Rowdy.
I remember
and
him.
BJ, right? Mm-hmm. And that fight went 2
I
hours.
I was one of the lucky few. I grew up with all the.
All them
I remember
dogs,
every single dog as a little kid, growing up with them, loving them, taking care of them.
Right.
To this day, I can still run 10 miles.
She does. That's no lie.
To this day, I can still run 10 miles on foot.
No lie.
No pre-workout.
Everybody watches her when she runs. She can do it, man. They work out. You know, and that's a good point to bring up is, you know, my kids exercise all the time. All of them. You know, even the grandkids, and the grandkids are involved in sports and all that stuff. My son was involved in martial arts when he was younger, all that. But all that work ethic, that training, that exercise, and all that comes directly from the dogs. That's where you get it from.
It does. It comes directly from the dogs.
You see us working dogs, and you see the dogs that like to work, and you play with them, and all that stuff. So it carried on into their adult life, you know, that they try to stay in shape, you know. Yeah. But that was a rough fight. Went 2 hours and 43 minutes. You know, Clayton Blood didn't survive because Bug-Eye had punctured his lung. Right. He lived for a few hours afterwards, and we had him. Me and Mom had him in the room with us. You know, gave him all his meds and all that. But you could see the air coming out from the holes. Yeah. In his chest. When you see air bubbles like that, that means his lungs is punctured. Yes. So he expired, but he was a game dog. That was the first match of ours that Frank saw.
Oh, okay.
And when he got there late. Probably an hour into the match. And when he got there, he saw the two dogs going at it, and Clayton's butt chest was hanging. It was swollen. It was hanging from the damage, right? So he immediately goes $200 on the brindle dog. Clayton's blood was red. Bug Eye was brindle. Everybody jumped out of their seat. We'll take it. We'll take it. And he's going like, what the hell are you guys? What am I seeing that you ain't?
Yeah.
What are you seeing that I ain't seeing?
What do you know that I don't know?
Right.
But he didn't know.
Right. He didn't know.
He didn't know.
So right after that, Clayton bullet got fanged. You know, his tooth got hooked up, hung up in his lip. Yeah. Right. When that happens, you separate the dogs. You unfang them.
Yeah.
Right. When we did that, and you face them away from each other.
Yes.
Right. The referee comes and pulls the lip down and unfangs the dog. Then you face him back up. When we did that, Clayton Blood started screaming, trying to get him. Frank goes, shit.
Wasn't worth it. I messed up.
Yeah. He ended up winning. Real game dog, a head dog, real smart and fast and quick. Not a lot of mouth, but a fast, smart game dog with super great air. And after that, Frank
never again.
Never bet against me again.
He never bet against you.
And he ended up acquiring our dogs, afterwards. I gave most of the good dogs that we had to him,
Well, that's Theo Frank, right?
Yeah, Theo Frank.
That's
right.
Theo Frank.
Yeah.
Not too many people I would say is family.
Exactly.
Theo Frank is family.
Right. And he ended up getting most of the good dogs, and he's kept it going for years and years.
Okay, what?
Oh, the toughest one.
Oh, the toughest
I forgot
one. Okay.
Right, I got into it. The toughest one was probably Mr. Rowdy's loss to champion Clorox. Again, real tough fight. Went 2 hours and 31 minutes. I don't know if you remember, but Mr. Rowdy was crippled after that.
I remember that.
He got both his front legs broke, all this flesh chewed away. Tough. Up until 2 hours, it was real close, And I thought I had it. Right after the 2 hour mark, Mr. Rowdy had Clorox laid out, and he went into his throat to finish him, but he just wasn't strong enough. He was played out to finish him. And after that, it was downhill. Clorox kept scratching. Mr. Rowdy scratched on the broken legs, and at 2 hours and 31 minutes, I just picked him up. He was basically unconscious, just laying there. That was enough. I got him, took him out.
Yeah.
And again, Pitt Town, they saved Mr. Rowdy after that, They were the ones that saved Big Red.
Yeah.
Several of my dogs they worked on. I used to pay them to work on my dogs because they were expert at it, and I was just old country type of stuff,
Well, shout out to those who do aftercare and take it seriously.
Right.
Who really learn about it and understand how important it is, and to just choose somebody who really understands what it is. Okay. What career accomplishment makes you most proud, or are you most proud of?
Probably having and breeding my own family of dogs. My favorite thing to do with the dogs was handling.
Yeah.
I really love that. I love the competition side of it.
That's where we get it from.
Right. Conditioning, that's where we get it from. But producing your own family of dogs, I think that's the best that you can do. And for me, the best dog men were, are, will be, or whatever, those that breed their own dogs, raise their own dogs. Today you can't school dogs and match dogs; it's illegal and all that. But that mindset of doing everything from the ground up, from raising back then to the competition back then, that was the best you could do.
Okay. Why is the time of the workout important?
Okay.
This is the one from your friend as well.
What's his name?
Southside Kennels.
What?
From Southside Kennels.
Southside Kennels. Thank you for the donation, brother.
Why is the time of workout important?
Yeah, right. And what he means by that is I've mentioned before that I like to time the dog's workout to the time of the match, right?
Okay.
The show. So, if it's in the morning, I'm going to work them in the morning. If it's in the evening, I'm going to condition in the evening.
Okay.
Like that, to the time of the show. That's not always possible if you're on a convention, where there's multiple dogs going, So you kind of just guesstimate, right? If you're the second show going, you give yourself an hour or 2 hours, time frame, right? That's how you kind of look at it. And with some people, a lot of people, if you work and you have other responsibilities, this and that, you can't always work them at the same time of the day. So a lot of them, they work them when they can, some in the morning, at night, during the day, whatever, you know. And then they adjust the last few days. As far as the feed, you want to feed them 24 hours out, 24 hours before the show. Get them to empty right before the show, right before you go weigh them and compete and all that. But what it does is if you time it to the time of the show, is it gets that inner clock inside the dog's head to become regular.
Does it also do muscle memory? Do they have muscle memory at the same time?
I would guess, yeah.
Because in exercise, we also do that too. You do it at the same time because then you get muscle memory of different parts of your body.
Right.
Start to learn, your body starts to learn how to accompany it and move with it and just
it almost like it anticipates.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
That time.
Yes.
Dogs will do the same thing. Even when you feed them, they might be cool all day and they run around or whatever, but when it's time to feed, close to time to feed, they'll start barking, getting loud, antsy. They want to eat. They know it's time to eat.
Yes.
Right. So the same thing happens with the workout. They start getting antsy. It's time to come out. And if you regulate them that way, what you do is you take them out to empty out, right? And then you do your workout. So once you put them on that schedule over a period of time, they'll start doing that. I go out at this certain time, I empty out, boom, go to work.
Yes.
No messing around, no hesitation, right? If you time it properly, when you go to a show, you're not going to have trouble with your dog emptying out. You're not going to have trouble with your dog starting. If you socialize them, nothing's going to spook them.
Yeah.
They're used to all kinds of noises, all that stuff that I've talked about before. So that's the point of having them on time. Like I said, sometimes you can't. They couldn't. I always did, but some people couldn't. But I think it's important just for that, having that internal clock. Tell them, okay, it's time to go. You get them in a repetitious routine, kind of like Pavlov's dog,
Yes, of course.
They do it instinctively without even thinking about it. This time, go to the bathroom. This time, go to work.
Mm-hmm. Boom,
that's it. So that's the reason for it.
Okay. And then, of course, this one's from me. Do you think you're the GOAT?
Nope. Not even close.
I know.
Yeah.
My dad's too humble.
Yeah, Dad's
I know.
I will say this, I get a lot of respect from other dogmen. I get a lot of accolades and support and all that. And I've always been this way. If you're good at what you do, right? If you have good dogs, if you're a good handler, a good competitor, good conditioner, good breeder.
Yes.
All that, right?
Yes.
You'll get acknowledgement from your peers.
Of course.
Your contemporaries will acknowledge it. So I didn't need to toot my own horn, and I don't need to do it now because I get support from everybody. If somebody says I was good or I had good dogs, that's good enough, right? Now, do I think I was good enough to compete and beat some of the best? Yeah, I did. That's on record. There's no denying it.
Yeah.
And I'm always truthful when I give my record. Wins, loss, who was game, who quit, all that. Because when you start deceiving people or you lie or make up shit, it'll come back to bite you. Somebody knows. Somebody always knows.
Somebody always knows.
So if I say I had a 50-time winner and he killed every opponent in 2 minutes, this and that, somebody knows. They know you're lying in the first place, but somebody's going to know. If I say this dog was game, he was game. Somebody was there, and thankfully a lot of those people are still around. And in the group, on chats, they'll say that, Oh, yeah, I remember Bill. He was a badass dog. I remember Clayton Bud, Mr. Rowdy. I remember how game Big Red was and all that.
Yes.
Because they
undeniable.
saw it. Yep.
It's undeniable.
Can't cheat it.
Time and time again, people went, came, saw, left. I remember even as
people
a child.
A bunch of people at the house.
A bunch of people at the house. My mom cooking a huge pot of rice and beans and them just doing meat after meat because we had a whole bunch of people there just to see the dogs. Not even to compete, just come from far and wide just to see them compete. Just to see what it was and see what you had. And they were never disappointed. Even as a little kid, everybody was all, yeah, Richard, yeah, Schoolboy, yeah, you really are what you say you are. You really? And then my dad's humble, so he was like, no, It's my family. It's everybody. It's the dog.
There you go. Tell them that one thing you told me about when you saw your first little story.
I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I had asked my mother all day because I'd seen it so like all year, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and I had wanted to see what was going on in the backyard, and I really just wanted to look. And it wasn't that it was they didn't want me to see it, since there was so many people out there. It's, you know, mostly males. So my mom, finally my dad goes, just go take her out there, let her see. So I was all excited, and back then my mother used to have our dresses made. So I was in a huge pink handmade dress with the big bonnets and everything. She did the $180 dresses that you know, because we're Hispanic. So I went out there and I looked and I saw, and I remember it was big red, because I wanted to see. It was big red, and I think it was a white dog. I don't remember which one. Or beige, sandy beige. And I went out there and I saw, and I was like,
that was Mr. Rowdy.
It was it?
Yeah.
Okay. So then I went out and I saw everything that was happening, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. You know, our dog's doing good. He's doing good. I just knew offhand that everything was fine. The dog wasn't being hurt. He was almost, I don't want to use it in his natural habitat. This is where my dog was supposed to be. This is what he did. Just like my brother would compete in martial arts, the dog was doing what he did. He was happy. So I went inside, and I just remember thinking to myself, and I remember telling everybody, we're going to Disneyland. because whenever my dad had a good time, which is usually all the time, my dad would come in, and the first thing he'd say is, oh, we're going to San Francisco, we're going to Disneyland, we're doing something, let's go buy everybody toys, new word, let's go out to eat,
if we won, you knew we were going somewhere.
I knew we were going somewhere, and it was rare that we lost, so it was so we were always doing, and I just remembered, okay, we're going. So every time after that, until the day he stopped, I always knew, every time my dad came in, I knew what was happening. Yeah, we're going to Disneyland. So
did you win? Yeah, we won.
Yeah,
okay,
we won. Yeah, Disneyland. So, and my mom would always laugh. My parents were always real open with us about everything and teaching everything, and it was really a family occasion. So that was my first encounter. Okay, so that's the end of our interview today. There will be a part 2. So
somebody wanted me to about Big Red and his matches and all that stuff. I'll do it this time.
Okay. Oh, will you? Okay.
We're gonna have a part 2. Hope you guys are enjoying it. But somebody asked about Big Red's competitions.
Okay.
So his first match, I did his first match, right, at 54 pounds. We went way out in the desert. We got the run around a little bit, and it took us 9 hours to get there. Should have took us about 6, right?
Yeah.
We went down south, and then we had to cross over, and then come back up, but way out in the desert, right? We're going into Scratch and Stitch, 54 pounds. Scratch and Stitch was using a son of Jack Carver's night train named Midnight Train, right? He was a one-time winner. And it's funny because his first opponent, his name was Big Red too, and he finished him in like 49 minutes, right? So this is the second Big Red he's going into. So Red was, by that time, he was over 4 years old the first time I matched him. Him and his sister Miss Rowdy, they were already. I used them to roll dogs, and I bred them and all that stuff. But he had a lot of experience, right? A lot of time on him. So the keep was good, it wasn't up to what it would become later, but it was a good, solid keep. He was in good shape. So we face him up, how our dogs were, he starts screaming, like that. We cut him loose, and right on the fly, Big Red ran over, hit Midnight Train in the shoulder, and poked a hole, right, hit a bleeder in the shoulder.
Yeah, bleeder.
And he was just leaking.
Oh.
And Midnight Train had these big-ass teeth like a lot of the Eli dogs have. And he just latched onto Big Red's head. He put a hole in his head, actually. I thought he bit into his brain afterwards, after it was all over. And a lot of his scar tissue, you could see, that's from that Midnight Train, just trying to keep him out. He just couldn't. Big Red was too strong.
Yeah.
He finished him in 34 minutes, Midnight Train. He made a couple of game scratches falling down like that. But it was, from the jump street, it was pretty much one-sided, right? And then after we won, Scratch and Stitch, who were the opponents, they even come up to me and go, "Man, you kicked our ass."
Yeah.
We ought to take that dog to Louisiana.
Yeah.
So that's when he won, 54 pounds. His second match, almost 2 years later, he was retired. I was reluctant to do it, but my partner wanted to do it. And I'll say this, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? And people always go, "Why you do this? You shouldn't do that." And I would never do that. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Everybody does it because you're there to compete.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not making excuses. Big Red lost, and he lost game. But my partner hooked him up at 52 pounds, 2 pounds lower than he was.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in at 51 pounds. So he was 3 pounds under his previous weight, and he's an older dog. Generally, you add weight, you don't take it away as they get older and grow. And the other dog, Big Puppy, his name was, he was, I forget, he had some Going Light Barney in him, right? He came in overweight.
Okay.
Normally, you could take the forfeit, not do it. But my buddy wanted to do it. I allowed him to do it. And Big Red lost. He lost game. It was pretty much one-sided.
Yeah.
And but he showed his heart,
Yeah.
He never made a peep, never gave up. At the end, here's where some controversy comes in. At the end, when you face up the dogs, especially if they're in shock like he was, you need to stand them up, face them up square, fix their front feet, make sure they're looking in the right direction.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. He didn't have a lot of experience,
Yeah.
the handler, and he was kind of holding him. And Big Red was looking to the side. Well, the referee was to the right side,
Okay.
hunched down in the corner,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, what Big Red did when he released him on the courtesy scratch is he went over to the referee.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, he thought that was
He thought that was the dog.
because
Yeah.
he's small, right? And that's the way he was looking. So when he got there, he looked, "Oh shit, that's not the dog." He looked for the dog to the left, and then he scratched to the dog.
Okay.
And after I sold him, I told the guy I sold him to, Raging Bull Kennels, all that stuff. He would even put that in the advertisement.
Yeah.
He made an L scratch like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
he went like that. He almost died. Pitt Town saved him. And but it showed a lot of heart.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much his career. After that, I still used him to school his sons like Bill and Billy and Alex and dogs like that. He was still he had matches and roles. He probably had 10 and a half hours on him.
Yeah.
Just all the school. But good dog, man. Great producer.
Yeah.
He's probably the dog you guys have the fondest memories of.
Everything.
Because he was
Yeah.
you could play with him. He's real
Play with
easy to
him,
get
yeah.
along in. Wasn't rough.
He was probably one of the only ones allowed to sit inside
right.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like he could be inside watching TV,
Yeah.
playing with us, just sitting there being normal, and then doing what he does. Once he stepped outside, he already knew.
Exactly.
So that part I do remember.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Okay.
we're gonna wrap it up. So I want everybody to know that all donations are taken with love and appreciation for the breed and the lifestyle. What we live is truly not for the weak. And as always, keep scratching. Thank you very much.
Everybody.